Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alistair and today we have a very special guest. I am super excited and maybe even a little bit nervous because this woman is not only an international model, not only has she worked with some of the biggest brands and designers, but she has a heart of gold. She's amassed over 1 million followers on Instagram, almost 240,000 subscribers on YouTube, and is an amazing role model for young women spreading body positivity. And above all else, she is an ethical vegan. So Stefania, thank you so much for coming on my channel today.
Oh, thank you. What a spiel. Thank you so much. My ego just boosted. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's fantastic. Seriously, taking time out of your busy day to come and on my small little channel, it means a lot.
Well, I love your work. Like I said before we started, I was binge watching your videos and I was really enjoying them. So it's an absolute treat to be here.
Oh, so here's my ego going bigger now, so thank you. So for those who don't know you, do you want to just give tell people a little bit about yourself?
Where do I start? I'm 27 years old. I love modeling. I find it really exciting, expressive. It's a great way to artistically express myself. And it's also given me a platform which now I can use to spread my love for animals and also the environment.
Oh, that's so fantastic. You said about binge watching my YouTube. I was binge watching some of your interviews that you were doing. And I know this might be hard to believe, but I'm not a model. I know, it's shocking, right? But so my knowledge when it comes to modeling is very, very little. They describe you as a plus size model. Can you sort of just give a bit of an explanation to that? I don't understand.
Well, I guess there's the rules that go on in normal society, and then there's rules that just apply to the modeling industry, which is even more absurd than our society. And in the modeling industry, if you don't fit into what a standard size is, which is generally in Australia, Australian size 6 or 8, if you're bigger than that, you're just automatically put in this category called plus size, which in the US, it's anything above a US size 4 plus size.
What?
Because you're not the stereotypical size. And I think that when we started having models that weren't that stereotypical, very slim, slender size for modeling, they were sort of like, oh God, what do we do with these models? Like, we've got to differentiate them. I guess we've got to put them in another category. Let's call them plus size. Which is, it's fine if you're within the industry and it's just an industry term, but unfortunately the term has seeped out into the general public and it's used in headlines. And so people that don't understand the industry, it's gonna be really confusing and potentially quite upsetting if they've got a similar body size to a model that's not stereotypical.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that would do to somebody. I mean, like, for instance, I can't go on Instagram right now. I don't even, like, I have a meme page. I run a vegan meme page, so I'm not even really following any sorts of models or anything who aren't, say, vegan. So even in my Explore page, I am seeing ridiculously skinny, over-enhanced, filtered, photoshopped women just sprawled on my Explore page. I can only imagine what a young woman, maybe she's in her teens, clicking on and seeing that, what that sort of does to her psyche, and then having the modeling sort of terms coming in, saying plus size and stuff. Do you think, are you seeing some change?
I think there's been huge changes. I think media outlets are a little bit more careful when using that term now because there was a big call to action to stop using it so much and just normalize these other bodies that we were seeing in the industry. And I think we've also seen a massive change in terms of, we've got different body types, different ethnicities have been coming in, but now we've also had women of different ages too, which I think is huge. And I think that needs to be pushed more, and we need to see models of different ages, because that's another thing a lot of people struggle with, is getting older too. And the modeling industry has a lot to answer for.
Yeah, I don't know how many 19-year-old size ones or whatever really fit with the general public. You know, we are such a diverse public. We are such a diverse population.
1 or 2% of the general population actually falls into the sizing that the modeling industry has been notorious for using, like the stereotypical model. It's like this tiny percentage of the population actually would be the size of a model on a cover of a magazine. And yeah, the rest of the population wasn't represented for so long.
It's just for somebody who is, for lack of a better word, a noob when it comes to this sort of stuff. I've sort of just been doing some research lately because I knew we were going to have a chat, and I was just sort of shocked by that. And I guess that sort of leads to my question is, how important is sort of spreading that body positivity message for you and your platform? Is that a huge part of your platform, or are you just sort of saying, hey, I'm just here to represent?
I think for a long time it was probably the main focus and a big part of my work, and I think it still continues to be. Yep. But I've sort of shifted more now towards wanting to spread the love for animals and animal rights and veganism and what animal agriculture is, the effect it's having on our planet. And so I've sort of moved towards that direction a little bit, but I think I'll always, just by being me and not fitting into what was stereotypical for so long, I think in itself speaks for itself.
Let's get into veganism. Tell me a little bit about your vegan journey.
Well, it all started with my mum. I don't even know how long ago this was. I think maybe it was 10, 11, 12 years ago. My mum was at the coast with the family and a big truck drove past, and it was full of, I can't remember if it was sheep or cows, but a big truck drove past. I wasn't there with them at the time, but I think it really, really got to my mum, and it really upset her seeing all these animals packed into this truck. And it was a really, really hot day. And I think it was like this, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I putting money towards this? Like, they're only there because, people like me are paying for this. And it just triggered something in her mind. And I think they've been thinking about it for a while, because I remember them saying, sort of making noises like, I don't know if this is right. Like, I don't know if we should be doing this. And then after seeing that, I think my mum was really like, that's it, we're going vegetarian.
Wow.
And so at home, my mum, my dad, me and my little sister, it was just sort of vegetarian food being cooked at home from then on out. And my mum's mum, so my nonna, my grandma, has always been an animal rights activist. She started with the anti-fur trade, and she used to sort of protest that sort of stuff. This is many, many years ago. And so my mum already sort of had a love and appreciation for animals. And I think it was like, well, I got to do more than not wear fur and things like that. I've got to stop putting them on my plate. Yeah. So my mum was the first big move for our family going vegetarian. And then going vegan was my sister that ended up turning my whole family vegan. Me, mum, dad, her, like we all went vegan because she did it herself. And I was like, oh, I guess it can't be that hard. Like, we've got to be able to do it. And this was last year. She just had her 1 year veganiversary.
Oh, wow.
A few days ago, on the day that I went to Edgar's Mission, and she was saying, I should be the one going to Edgar's Mission for my veganiversary. So she was a bit jealous. But yeah, she was the main turning point for us all going vegan.
That's fantastic. So
even dad, a boomer. It's like, if a boomer can do it, anyone can do it.
I think we'll have to get some hints and tricks on how to do boomer activism. Maybe that should be another video. When you come up, we'll talk about doing a boomer activism video. I think that'd be yeah. Let's do it.
We'll get my dad in.
That'd be so good. Real quick though, so you said you went vegetarian. So what age were you when you stopped eating meat?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't fully stop eating meat for quite a while. I was mostly vegetarian, but then I still I don't know. I wish I'd gone vegan sooner, but I was still eating meat when I was out. And when I first moved out of home, I was still having it. I was mostly vegetarian. And I think I was still occasionally eating meat when people had cooked it for me too, until I decided, no, that's it. I'm going full vegan. I got to live what I believe. God, I wish I could say I've been vegan for, since the day I was born or the last 10 years. And I feel, unfortunately not. And that's what they say every vegan's regret is they didn't do it sooner.
This is it. I hear people all the time saying, I wish I went sooner, but you did. And you made that ethical connection. And it's definitely something. I mean, I still regret to this day. I was 24. 23. I was 23, went vegan, and to this day, I ran with the bulls. I did running of the bulls before. I did some things.
What, in Spain?
In Spain, I did Pamplona, not as a vegan, obviously, but there are things I look back on going, how did I not make that connection early? I just don't know. How could I watch a bull fight and not make the connection? And it's just, I keep remembering that when I'm talking to people who aren't vegan yet, and I go, well, I didn't make the connection. So how do you sort of,
It just doesn't make sense to me, because I was, even when I was having that meat, or I was quite ashamed of it, and I would make sure to never post it to my stories. I never defended it. I always knew, like, I want to do more, and it just blows my mind that there's people out there like actively defending this.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, shut up and do it if you really can't control yourself, but don't go and promote it and then defend it.
Yeah,
like, to me, that's absurd.
I think that there's this cognitive dissonance that we don't want to be bad people ever. So
and we don't want people to remind us.
Spot on. Like, we just seem to have these things. Like, I always pull out my phone and say, well, our phones are born out of pain and misery in a sweatshop in China. There's still so much that we can do. My motto is I'm trying to be a little less shit every day. So it is great, though, that we've got these activists now that are waking up. I mean, look at your audience. You've got 1 million people on Instagram. How have they responded to your vegan activism now?
I think overall pretty good. Like, I get the odd comment, which is, you're not going to stop me eating meat, and oh, look, it's bacon, and oh, look at you cuddling my food, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And I've had a few like rude comments entering my DMs, but to be honest, I'm surprised there's not more. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, like, they appreciate it and they might change.
Well, that leads into my next question for you, because I would like to know, what does vegan activism look like for you now moving forward? So, like, what, like, with sort of your space, you said you want to bring in more sort of vegan activism. How's that going to look?
Oh, well, I think for me, because my work has always been through creating images, occasionally videos, but I think my love is really creating still images. And I think for me, vegan activism will be incorporating my love for animals into my modeling work. So I'd love to do shoots that involve, gorgeous farm animals that have been rescued, or showing that these are gorgeous creatures that are loving and affectionate. So I want to somehow incorporate that into my imagery. I think that'll probably be my main focus, as well as hopefully doing more YouTube videos and discussions about it, like this.
Yeah,
you're one of my you're my first. No, I think this is my first, like, this is exactly what I want to do more of.
People get sick of hearing it, and I've said it so many times, but like, the activism is a train of many carriages, and being able to just hit different levels. If you're not out on the streets, I don't think that's going to work for everybody.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, but I so appreciate the people that do it. I think, Jesus, that takes some serious balls to get out there and do that on the street when you've got these people glaring at you and side-eyeing you. Like, it's fine for me to put up on my story because I can't see those people looking at my story going, but when you're on the street and they're walking past going, that would be so hard.
All you're trying to do is just educate people. You're not even like in their face going, I think we've moved past the throwing blood on people. We've sort of moved forward to the, hey, let's look at, as you said, with the still images. I think that's going to be fantastic. And I noticed that you went to Edgar's Mission just recently and posted some incredible pictures on your story and on your main page. How can you look at those beautiful farm animals, and say, oh yeah, I want to eat those? Like,
I know, I think it's just so easy. Like, it's when you eat meat and you're eating animals, it's just so easy to go, just not even think about it, because you weren't there for the 99% of that process. You're just there for the 1% of you gobbling it down for 5 minutes. And so it's so easy just to go, oh, it doesn't. It's like it doesn't even exist to them. Like, that's what it was like for me. It was like, oh, it's okay to have animals if you're eating them. Like, it's okay to kill them if you're eating them. And you just can't look at it and go, that is an animal. But now I'll see it. For me, it's like, the only thing I can see is that is an animal now. When you're eating meat, it's just like, nah, I'm just not going to think about it. If it enters my mind, I'm just going to push it out. I just don't want to think about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as you say, if you can associate that smell or the taste with an animal, it completely changes your mind. It completely changes your whole concept.
It becomes gross. It's like, how could you do that? That should put a bad taste in your mouth.
Literally,
like,
yeah.
Oh, it tastes so good. No.
Yeah, but there's so many things that taste good. You don't need to eat animals. There's so many things that taste good. I'm so jealous. I haven't been to Edgar's Mission. What was it like? What was it like?
I was in heaven. It was incredible. And you would have seen the photos with Harmony the lamb. When I walked into the little lamb area, there were 4 lambs there. One of them had 3 legs, just a really young one. And then there was Harmony and a couple of others. I started like crying. I was like, stop it, be strong. It was really hard to fight back the tears and just look at her and think that people are paying for that. Like, I don't know, it blows my mind. I'm going to cry thinking about it now, but it's like they're just so small and innocent.
And they're not much older than that when they are taken. It just seems so
it's
just
so
pointless.
It's sick. It's like supposedly we live in this society that is so forward thinking and so moral, and we have justice, and it's like, yet this is going on and on at such an insane rate.
It's 2020. Why are we still doing this? You know, we're trying to pretend that we're living like cavemen. You know, people are saying, oh, but lions eat meat. Yeah, well, lions do a lot of stuff that we don't do today. You know, you can't just pick and choose from the wild and expect it to make sense. You know, it's just makes me so angry. But
yeah, well, lions kill their cubs too. Exactly. And it's like people that kill their children, we stick them in jail. That's not okay.
That's right. Yeah, we've been able to get past rape, murder, incest, and infanticide. But no, when it comes to eating meat, we need to do what lions do. Come on, give me a break.
So backwards.
Have you got any role models in the animal activist community?
Yes, I love Earthling Ed.
Yes.
I really like Joey Carbstrong too. I think I watched today. I've already watched one Earthling Ed video, which was about animals escaping from factory farms or trucks, and then I've listened to a couple of Joey videos already today on YouTube. So yeah, they're probably two of my biggest inspirations.
Firing you up, pumping you up. I'm hoping that you get to interview Earthling Ed for your YouTube channel. How good's that going to be?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't know. I think I'd get a little too nervous. I don't know. But I do quite enjoy watching Freely.
Okay. Yeah.
She's like my guilty pleasure a bit. Everyone's like, oh, she's crazy, she's insane. And I just think, well, knowing what goes on in this industry is enough to drive anyone a little loopy. Like,
I think it's like, again, as I said before, you know, there are so many different types of activists, and you can look at each different level. So you've got everybody from Rob Banks, who shows a lot of animal slaughter videos, to Joey, who's sort of out there on the streets. You got Freely, who's doing her takedown videos. You got Earthling Ed, who's doing the education. So you've literally got a span of all these different types of activists out there, and it's going to be interesting because you're like fitting into this sort of another space that I'm seeing growing. Obviously, I had Lauren on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I love that video you guys did.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. It's really good.
Yeah, she's a lovely person. She's incredible. Again, ethical vegan and wanting to be a model. And you're sort of hitting a different demographic that Earthling Ed isn't going to hit. I'm sorry, Earthling Ed hasn't got the kind of audience that...
Do you know what? I feel like we have a lot of men that follow us that probably consider themselves these macho men that follow these Instagram babes, and it's we're questioning their masculinity here. Like it is a different demographic.
It's definitely a demographic. I don't know if you caught a video I did that is meat made me less manly. So I did this video. It was literally about this toxic masculinity and who I was before I went vegan. I thought I was manly, and it is... I find that being man in society today goes back to what you were saying about marketing to insecurities. Women sort of are marketed in the modeling industry to their insecurities, to buy things. Men are sold a slogan that real men eat meat. Real men do this. Real men are, if you're a real man, you don't cry, because they want you to be miserable, so you go out and buy things. But what it ends up leading to is a whole bunch of insecure men who make sexist jokes to try and impress their mates, and they end up killing themselves 3 times more than a woman. You know, we are living in a society where manly men are weak. And I am seeing that you're going to be able to open the doors to this and say, you know what? Women find compassion sexy. You know, women find...
Yeah, we do. It blows my mind. It's like, guys, you would open these doors to all these women that would be like, even if the woman isn't a vegan or vegetarian herself, if she meets a guy that goes, I'm vegan for the animals and for the planet or whatever, I think she'd look at him and think, wow, that's impressive. I think I would. And it's a sign of strength to me to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to quit my old habits because they're not healthy and they're not kind. And I'm going to be strong here, and I'm going to make a move in the right direction. Women find that is beautiful. That is sexy. And to me, it's weak to just continue living the way you're used to when it's wrong.
I don't think I've met many women who will be on, say, Tinder or a dating app and see a guy with a fish and say, oh man, that's the guy I wanted. Isn't that a
Like,
meme?
we don't want that. Even girls that eat meat don't freaking want that. We don't want that.
Yeah, but being masculine to me now is being confident in who you are, knowing who you are, and protecting those that are weaker. Like, killing a lamb isn't strength. That's weakness, man. You want to protect that. Look at that beautiful lamb that you had, at Edgar's Mission. Like, a real man protects them, or just the vulnerable. And yeah, so
because that's what a father would do. A father is someone that's going to protect his young ones. He's going to look after them. They are more vulnerable, and it's like we would see those traits in men and think they'd make amazing dads. But if we see a guy that's going out and shooting things, is making fun of veganisms and laughing about the death of these baby animals, it's like, you are not appealing. We don't want you to be a father.
It goes back to this again, we sort of said before about sort of the caveman sort of days and being a provider. But I guess it goes back to security. What's more secure than a man who is in tune with themselves, is kind and compassionate? Okay, can go out and protect if somebody comes up and isn't afraid to be violent when they need to be, but they're not going out looking for it. And there's this sort of concept of being a provider is also being caring and loving. In my family, there was a lot of insecurity, a lot of insecure men. You're going to be able to reach these men who are insecure and flip them and show them, hey, caring for this beautiful cow or this incredible, sheep, dog, cat, whatever animal, farm animals, anybody, that's sexy.
Actually, I think that a lot of families, you would be the rule more than the exception. I think there is a lot of insecurity in people, and it does come out. It comes out in the comments under vegan posts and videos. People going, bacon. It is a sign of insecurity.
To really sort of pinpoint those feelings that we had, those cognitive dissonant feelings that we had before we were vegan, and start thinking, what could somebody have said or done in those moments to make us change our minds? And I don't think that yelling and screaming at me would have worked. I think maybe what might have worked for me was seeing a beautiful picture of a woman at Edgar's Mission. That might have made me go, oh, wait a second, what's this? And then there's hey, watch Dominion underneath it, or watch Earthlings. Those are maybe some of the messages that might have got through, because I don't want to get my defenses up. I don't want to feel like I'm being attacked. But if you'll make the decision on my own, because I'm a bit of a stubborn bastard, I think that might have made me change. So it's going to be fun to sort of play with a few things here with your audience and see what's actually going to what's actually going to stick.
That is such a good point that you brought up. Is when I used to be a meat eater, what would have gotten through to me? We should, as a vegan activist, ask ourselves that. I to be honest, haven't really thought about it that much, but it's a fantastic question. What would have gotten through to me?
Sometimes it's so hard that we forget what it was like before we were vegan. So we go, how can you not see it? We've got the foundation built, and now it's come on. But I guess it comes back to having to sort of come back to their level, come back to people's levels and find out where they are. And then just sort of say, hey, without not patronizing, not in a bad way, just saying, hey, I was there once too, and this is what I did. How about we watch it together, or how about we do it together? Come with me to an animal sanctuary. How about we go and try some vegan foods together? Just after time, people's minds will open. And I think that we're seeing it faster than ever before. I think 10 years ago, it would have been so much different.
It's an exciting time, really, in a way, watching it grow and watching the movement sort of take place. I think it would have been the same when they were abolishing slavery and women were marching down the streets for their rights too. It's those would have been scary but exciting times when you're seeing that change happen. And I think we are witnessing it right now in a big way. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's this tipping point, because I think we would only need a certain percentage of the population to be vegan, and then it would almost be like an avalanche and tipping point where the whole population very quickly sort of moves in that direction. A bit like horse racing, in Australia, it was absolutely fine to go to the horse races. I remember putting up a post back in, I think it was 2016, anti-horse racing, and I had a lot of people come out being like, there's nothing wrong with it, the horses get treated like kings, this and that. And I think a year or two later, I even went to the races because my modeling agent was like, oh, come, fashion, and I was like, oh, okay. I felt bad about it. But then the following year, this documentary came out, and there was this tipping point where the whole population was like, oh, fuck. And then next minute, most people are against it. And I think it will probably stop pretty soon.
I've been saying nut to the cup for like 10 years, at least 8, and I have copped nothing but flack for 8 years until this year. And I'm with you 100%.
And then people are like, yay!
Like,
even if they eat meat, they're like, yay!
But it is, like, I'm so shocked. I didn't get any hate for posting nut to the cup this year. I was really shocked. You're right. There has been a change in consciousness, and it's happening so bloody quickly. I can't believe
it's happening so fast with veganism.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on today. I really do appreciate your time, and I'm loving what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. For anybody watching, definitely I'm going to put all your links down in the show notes below: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that. So please go and follow. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say before you go?
Treat animals with the respect you would wish to be treated with.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate it.